back. That's right, we're back to working on a 1971 C10 in Spanish Gold for Cheyenne. We'll take a quick look at 68 as well, show what's going on with that. I'll jump over there when I get kind of frustrated over here. Or I'll work over there and jump over here when I get frustrated over there. You get the idea. I'm gonna take you a look around. Let's start in Cheyenne first. I'll take you around here and show you what I'm doing. I'm finally getting this exhaust done. I've been kind of dragging my feet. Take you a long way around. Only because I know how much time this takes. Anybody that's worked on exhaust at home will know quite a bit of work to be done, and it's just meticulous, slow, and painful. I'm not going to start you at the headers. We did that a long time ago. I'm sure you've seen those. But today, I'll get you the light. I think we've got a pointer around here somewhere, just in case. But we come through this cross member. Oh, great. Oh, try it again. Wonderful. Great. What? It worked before I started the camera, of course. Why is always got to have them on camera? Well, you'll have to suffer. I don't have another light handy. Right here is where we come through this cross member. And I've got this pipe centered in that 4-inch hole. Maybe it's 5-inch. I think I misspoke before on the exhaust too. This is 2.5 to the muffler and our cutouts. Then we go to 2 3/4 in the back. Is that right? 2.5? No. Yeah, this is 2.5. 2 1/4 on the way out. It just makes fitment a little easier. You want to center these things as much as you can, because as you get to welding and putting hangers and stuff on, things will tend to, glide a little left, a little right, and you have plenty of room that way. Try to center everything as you build it. And I'll show you here what we did. I did. You pie cut all these until you get the right angles, weld them in. They're all brush finished. I'll brush and clean those up a little bit later. I already said later. Gracious, we just got here. I use this wood blocks to kind of get everything where it's at, because nothing's clamped up that way. We're tack welded this way. But I use like a couple blocks of wood and a wedge, and that'll kind of, I don't want to monkey with it right now because it's all kind of and I get to horsing on it and I'll mess it up. But as you push that wedge in there, it'll raise that arch part, and it'll turn your muffler, and it'll turn the other. I mean, it actually does more than just, you push it in, it'll raise it, but it also will rotate it because it has to be in the center here. I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm just going to give you the idea how this works. Use a marker. You might see my marker down here. I don't know. Am I in your way? I don't know if I am or not. But I'll use a marker when I'm doing this. Maybe you can see this. Maybe I just move you right down there and get you close to start with. So you take, I use a scratch all, mark all. It doesn't really matter. But you'll mark lines on these pipes. And then when you pull it apart and take it to the bench, you can put them lines back and get them lined up before you weld it. And that'll get you pretty close. Now, I would say, as long as your lines are on, it should be perfect. But for some reason, from here to the bench and back, it's not right. I think I cut that one like, 7 times? Maybe 17 times. But I got it together. So the next part you want to do, once you get like something like this, it's got a little whoop-de-doo and a curve to it, it's time to stop and make sure everything is clearance. You want to make sure you got room, because if you keep going, you'll have to come back, and then when you change something here, it's going to change everything that way. So that's why I had this straight edge earlier. You've seen this. This is where the box mounts on these pedestals. So you want to make sure this is underneath those box mounts. And it clearly is. Now you might think, well, that's pretty close right there. Well, it is, but not as close as you think. Remember, the exhaust is hooked to the frame, and the box is hooked to the frame, so there should be no movement here. Now, I say no movement, very little, because your motor's on rubber mounts, and even the tiniest movement in the front can make exasperated 17 feet back here move quite a bit. But I'm not too worried about this gap, because this is where the box supports go, and they're not quite this thick. They're between the two, but basically 2 inches. I didn't measure them. So the bottom of the box is 2 inches above the bottom of this. So if we come up 2 inches on here, I think this is 2.5. truly these bracket mounts go across here, but the box itself, the box bottom would be somewhere around in this vicinity. So if you think about that, you got plenty of room from that pipe. Even if I measured, you know, up an inch off of this, you still got a lot of gap here, so it's not going to hit. But for safety, working, I go off the bottom, make sure I don't touch anything, and that gives me my air gap I need. And we're definitely got room there. And we're going to use this again as we work our way to the back. So this is somewhat permanent. I mean, I only got one load done. I got to clean that up. Come back here to the muffler. Now, you may have noticed the muffler is turned sideways. This is pretty common on these trucks. I can't get you in there any closer anyway. Because there's not a lot of room to lay them flat, and it's not necessary. It doesn't really matter what rotation they're set in. The only thing we have here is realizing that from the motor to this point right here, this is the lowest point in the exhaust. Actually, the bottom of the muffler is the lowest point. If you were to drive this truck, say 6 miles to town to get a bite to eat with a wife or something, or ice cream at the ice cream store, you shut it off, you have your ice cream, you hang out for a while, enjoy yourself, talk with some friends or what have you. I don't have any friends. Okay, maybe one or two. I had some stop by this week, but that's not what this show's about. By the way, hi Richie. So when you run this like this on a cold start and you don't warm it up completely and get the exhaust fully hot, you'll get some moisture trapped in these exhausts. They call them something, mufflers. My gracious, darn. And when you shut it off, all that moisture will pool to the bottom, and some moisture could even come in the tailpipe to these warm areas and condense in here. So when I get done with this, at the lowest point of this muffler and the mirrored one over here, when we get to that, yeah, I'm not even close to that yet, I'll drill a 1/16 hole in the bottom. You could go a little bigger, but a 16th is what I like. You just put a little hole right in the bottom. You'll never hear it, you won't know it, but that'll let the water run out and it won't pool inside your mufflers and rust them out. Okay, moving right along. I'm gonna see if I can pick you up and show you some angles, so just bear with me. So as we come through here, we're in the center. We'll come up over this, and we come down here between the drag bars, drag links, we don't call them, and the drive shaft. So we're pretty much centered here. So we go back on an angle. You notice a little angle there. We do that to stay, again, evenly between the two. Plus we have to make some room for the muffler, so when the drive shaft comes up and you have bumps, you'll have clearance for that. So we come back on this little angle, and then we straighten out at the muffler. Not my favorite thing. Yeah, focus. Doggone it. Anyway. And then we come back to this support, and we do the same thing here. We make sure that we've got plenty of room, and how I mark these to make sure I can weld them is I put a black marker around each pipe. I did this to show me the direction. When that pipe comes out, you won't know which way you had it. And that shows me exactly where to weld it on the bench. I'll probably tack it in first here. We go under this, I'm not going to bother showing you that. And we get back to the tough area we talked about before. Now this can be really, really a pain back here. I still got some more adjustments to do. Again, this is just mocked up. I have to do finish welding later. So as we come underneath, and there's plenty of room, more than I expected, more than I had planned even. Probably didn't even need to protect that rubber hose like I showed them out of the show with that heat protector, but better safe than sorry. We do have this hose here that comes out for the breather for the differential, and it's only about 1.5 inches at this point, and it is just rubber. So I will probably put a 6 or 8 inch piece of that heat resistant tape on that, just because it wouldn't really hurt anything, but to make sure. So we have this compound angle here, only because we have this track bar mount right here. Now, I'm not worried about heat, I was worried about hitting it. So we're gonna get past that if we happen to, I don't know, railroad tracks or something too hard, we weren't paying attention to get a full suspension movement. We got room. I have a little bit, I'm not sure if you can get all the way down here. Yeah, you can see. So down here where this little angle comes off my brake line, if you look straight down from this muffler, I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but just kind of showing you one, it might come in contact with that. So I will probably take and make a little tighter kink on this one. You know, I shouldn't use the word kink, bend on this one and a little tighter bend towards the differential, just to give that some extra room. Over here we have our, well, those are drag link track bar, and it's going to clear. Oh, that's probably the widest point, so we got plenty of room there. Heat's not an issue. So now we're getting near the tailpipe at the end, the exciting part where we finally made it. I'll show you what I do here. The box is not on this truck, so how do you know if the tailpipe's going to clear the box? Well, I do it in 2 stages. Yeah, it's more work, always more work, but I don't want to have to do it twice. So I don't have my glasses on. I can't tell if that's in focus. Let me put my glasses on. Oh yeah, it is. So this is what I did. I take a tape measure, and I know that on these C10s, the top of the frame to the top of the tailpipe needs to be at least 8 inches. And that's because the top of this frame to the fender well is about 8.5, 8.75. So you want to be at least 8 inches below that. So I put my tape measure on here, I can see my marks, and I'm going to go over to the table, grab a pipe, and I'm going to show you how we fit this. Now, I'm going to have to put one arm on each side of this frame and get under here, but I'll try and get you to see as much as possible. Let me set you up over on the bench real quick. I'll show you how we make these pipe cuts, and then we're going to do one together. Well, we'll get a little fitting to going together. So over here on my bench. Over here on the bench, I've got some pipes I've been working on. You see I got some different pieces left over that I cut off already. This is the current piece. So I've kind of cut this pipe and got it lined up. This is just tailpipe. I don't think it needs to be lined up. No, that's just a temporary tailpipe, a mock-up tailpipe. So this pipe fits on the pipe over there. We'll take it back over there in a minute. And if the angle is off a little bit and you have a gap in here, well, you can weld over gaps. It just takes time and a lot more filler. You can cut these little pipe cuts out. Just keep, here's one I took out of the same exact spot. You just, if they're, on this particular one, the gap was in the back. So I took off just this little pipe cut off the front, and that's going to take my pipe and allow it to tilt back quite a bit, that little bit, and get it to the angle I need. So, taking this piece back over to the truck. I know I just moved you. I don't want to move you back. Maybe you can see my tape measure and you can see how I do this, because if you ever want to do your own mufflers, you're going to want to know how to do this. Now, I paid to get the one done on my 72. Remember the green truck? And it was, I can't remember if it was just under or just over $1,000. Ah, wow. I think I got like $300 into all the pipe, and I've got excess pipe. So if you got a welder and some time and some patience, lots of it, you can do this yourself. Oh, I forgot my other pipe. So we're going to take this pipe and we're going to mock it up. I think I can put my foot in there. If I hit something, I'm going to ruin this whole video because this will all fall apart. All right, I'm good. So what I do is this pipe, I'll line that mark up with a mark on the pipe, wherever my arm can go in there. And this is just for mock-up purposes. It can go wherever we want, but it should be something like that. To go out behind the tire. Again, we're looking at about 8 inches to the top of this pipe. So you just wiggle this in there, and you hold this pipe flat to that other mark. I got it. And then this outside pipe should be, my line's marked up, should be about 8 inches. You can probably see better than me. My 8 inches, if I'm a little less or a little more, I can move it. But when I weld it up, I'll get it exact. But that lines up good, and then you see my tailpipe is going to come out behind the tire about the angle I'd like. Now you can change this angle in here, just the way I had it marked, and put it more angled out of the wheel well area or behind the box. Or you could even turn it back this way more. And I'll move my tape measure. You can move it back like this way more and go, well, you wouldn't want to go right behind the tire, but you could extend this. See what I'm getting at? Then you could go behind the tire a straighter angle. All right, you get the idea. So that's how this all works, and that's why it takes so much time. I got to hold things with 2 hands and mark it with my teeth, and It's not easy to do alone, but it's a lot of fun. It certainly is. So I'm almost out to tailpipe spot. I'm gonna stop until I get the box on, right underneath the frame where that piece was at. This one here. Sorry about that. I'm gonna stop with this one until I get the box on, and then if I need to make some adjustments under here where nobody can see it, I can pie cut this again and get my angle exactly where I want it, and all the welding will be way back here under the frame. You'll never see it. You know, it wouldn't matter if you did. It's just weld. All right, that's what we got going there. I'm not gonna, and I gotta full weld this. I could set up a high-speed time-lapse one when I do that if you guys want. Over on the 68, let's take a quick walk over there. You've already been around the shop once. I'm not going through there, I'll never make it. Yeah, we'll just walk around. So the 68, I've been waiting on motor mounts for, I don't know, like 2 weeks. And usually things show up the next day, but we're still doing some kind of 19 program. I don't really know what that's about. But we're back to working on some fuel tank, fuel system on Tom Tite truck. Yeah, I got a new name, Tom Tite truck. I might get that printed. So, back here, I might even, yeah, I'm going to show you. Come back a little farther. I am positive there's going to be a handful of people that don't like this. Because safety is like everything in the world to everybody all the time. And I'm not saying to be dangerous, but you can be so safe that you create extremely dangerous situations. But this is not the time for that lecture. So, we don't need the green lizard in the way right now. So over here in the 68, we've got this, I think it's a 20-gallon tank. And that's awesome. Rear mounted for safety. Well, okay. But somebody like me would say, well, boy, most accidents, well, I won't say most. There are some pretty severe accidents where people rear end the vehicle. And if you got the gas tank at the rear end of the vehicle, wow, you got the gas right there at the collision point. You could argue anything you want to, but for safety, this is back here. So let's go with that. To take the fuel line, the way this is designed and cut out, it's got a little spot right here, and loop that around tight inside of here, wasn't conducive to me. It wasn't what I enjoyed working on. It kinked the hose pretty tight. I could have went with steel, but it put our fuel pump and filter system, or at least the pump and filters up there on this one, back here on this crossover support, which you already know puts us next to this differential with the extended differential cover. Not to mention, when it came time to put a filter in, which I know what's up there on this car, if you need to work on the fuel pump for any reason, they do go bad, it would be a nightmare to get up inside of here. From underneath the truck, there is no place for your arms to go or move a wrench. It would be horrible. I would suggest if somebody wanted to do that, that just take the box off. It's going to be way easier than trying to fight underneath this truck. I devised a plan to make this turn and go to the back. Because, you know, the more fuel the farther back, the better. And we're going to put the fuel pump back here. This is our suction line. It's a lot more gentle turn. Got room from the bumper's going to stick out like 6 or 8 inches past the rear end. This hose is going to come around here, and we're going to go into our fuel pump and a filter. I forgot there's 2 filters on this, so you will have a filter to change. We'll come in here with a fuel pump and a filter, and then we'll go on the other side, which is where the fuel line goes for this LS anyway. They're on the driver's side. So that's going to put everything back here. So in order to change the filter or the pump, you just have to reach up between the bumper and this cross support. But there's no other wires, there's nothing else in your way. You can just reach up and work on it. So all the time I'm working on how to work on your vehicle. So that's where that line's going to go. It's going to continue around on this side. The only thing I ran into on this, because this tank, we wanted to get 20 gallons, or 21, I can't remember. It fills this gap pretty decent. And it makes your hoses come in awful tight to your frame. It kind of kinks them a little. You might notice there. Let me jump back in front of you. that I've got in red paint where I want to clearance just a little bit. The strength of a frame is this up and down part. Most of the strength of the frame is in this up and down. The sideways or flat piece is mostly for mounting. It does have some strength, but I'm going to clearance this out just a little bit on both hoses. Put a soft edge on it so that I don't have to worry about a tight kink on there, and they can be replaced. Again, how hard would it be to pull that line off if you ever had to work on it? Of course, you pull the box and all that, but I didn't want it to be that hard to work on. So much better design. It's going to flow good. Everything's going to work this way. It's going to go down with the wiring. It's all going to be on the same side of the truck. Everything's going to be together. It can be a one-wire loom. It's just a lot better system. Leaves all the brake lines on the other side of the truck. I like it way better, and it's going to work great. Something I want to mention to you before we go back over to the 71. Tom was pretty interested in, it's very important to him that we don't have, because on these under tanks, these under box tanks, there's always a filler someplace in the floorboard or up on the side, and it doesn't look good. He's right. I don't like the tank for that reason alone, but he did find a guy who somehow had ran the filler neck hand breather tube up inside the fender, the rear box side, and you opened a tail light to put fuel in it. So if somebody else did it, I guarantee you I can do it. So we're going to work on that, and someday you'll see that. Probably not real soon, but it'll be on the channel. That one's a guarantee. Later. Yeah, later. For sure, later on that. Okay. I still got a couple brake lines on that, but you've seen enough brake lines. Well, actually, that's probably about all I'm going to show you guys for today. I'm going to get back to welding on the 71 and get some more progress made on this exhaust. And when I bring it back, if everything goes right, yeah, that doesn't happen very often, but if I have a good week and everything goes the way I want, I'll have that exhaust all welded in from front to back. And that way I know how to do that. And I'm going to start mirroring it on this side, do the same cuts, the same loops, the same everything. Pretty much will come back to the rear end, and then this is the only place that has to be different. These crossovers, this one's going to have to come over and turn out and back. But I probably won't bother showing you all that. It's muscle work. Just keep slicing it and welding it, and then re-slicing it, re-welding it, and you'll get there. Patience and time. Probably more time than patience is necessary for this type of muffler work. These trucks are not the easiest thing to put a muffler in. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we'll have something. I don't know what, but we're going to have something. All right, I'm going to have to take you off the tripod just to turn this off this week. Thanks for coming. Give me a thumbs up, like something. I appreciate it. Not for the money, but just so other people can find out about the show and maybe enjoy it. Have a good night. All right, that's once.